The heat is sapping.
Yeah.
I'd like a beer. Hey everyone, I'm Matt Beer and we are here in Tucson, Arizona for the 2022 Pinkbike field trip. Behind me is the most impossible climb yet to date. It is the driest, most gravelly climb that I've come across here in the desert. We have 4 hardtails and 5 full suspension bikes to try out, and I can't wait to see which one of them might make it up to the top. Okay, so there's a couple things to note this time round. For this challenge, we're not going to change any of the tires. They are going to be just as they come right out of the box. So that's going to be a deal breaker for some. Let's go take a look at the course. Okay, so we're used to the slippery, wet routes of the Pacific Northwest, but this gravel is equally as slippery. This is going to be one of the big crux moves, a little corner with a step in it. This is where things start to get a little bit more inclined. We've got quite a rocky outcrop with lots of little steps. This is going to be a big move. Now coming up here, expert course designer Mike Levy has staggered a couple more rocks to make it extra challenging. Plus, we've got to deal with the cactus of the desert. We've got one more little choke point with a turn and more cactus. Who would have thought? Okay, so we're making our way up here. This is the last step in the impossible climb. Who would have thought, but there's more rocks on rocks. I'm gonna be totally gassed at this point, but I'm gonna be really interested to see if any of the bikes make it because this looks like the hardest one to date. Okay, let's give it a crack. Okay, so first bike on the chopping block is the Salsa Timberjack, an aluminum frame with 29-inch wheels and big meaty tires. Let's give this a shot. Oh, just rubble, absolute rubble. Oh, kind of got away from me, a little power wheelie. This is pretty steep and techy. Okay, next up, we got the Marin XC Hardtail. There's no dropper post on this and it's got some skinny, fast tires. So let's see if we get any traction out of that. Oh yeah, no dropper post is a bit strange. These tires are skittish. Yeah, not the same amount of traction out of this one as the Plus tires. So out here in the desert, they have some merit. Okay, next up we got the Commensal Meta HT. This thing has some beefy 2.8 tires. Hopefully this gives us a bit more traction on this loose rubble stuff. No dropper post on this bike either, so going a little bit lower for some more traction. Oh! Didn't make it on this thing either. It's just boulders on boulders. Okay, next up we got the Diamondback Sinker. This thing does have a dropper post and big 2.8-inch tires as well, so hopefully that gives the hardtail a little bit more advantage. Find a good medium height for the dropper post. Maybe a bit more juice here. Oh, we're already sliding. No. No, we're not gonna go. Yeah, it's a really tricky balance keeping the hardtail on the ground from bouncing, but also trying to maintain like a smooth cadence. Trying to keep that traction delivered and no jerky moments, but no rear suspension makes that difficult.
This is Mishka. Please subscribe to Beta so I can afford to feed her. She eats a lot, and right now the Beta membership is half off. It's only 24 bucks a year. Even Mishka could afford that. Yeah.
Okay, now we're on to the full suspension bikes. We've got the Fazari Cascade Peak. Hopefully we'll get some more traction with that rear suspension up here because it is loose and chunky. There we go. Oh, definitely need an easier gear. This has got a very relaxed position. Oh, definitely easier than the Hardtails. You can feel the rear tire slipping around a little bit. Oh boy. I don't know if there's any way through this part of the impossible climb. Pretty impossible looking. Nice job, Mike. Yeah, so this is definitely one of the crux moves at the impossible climb, and this Cascade Peak. Definitely a little bit more relaxed feeling. It's a shorter bike, so there's a lot of weight focused over the back wheel, which is good for traction, but hard to keep your weight forward when things get really steep. Okay, so this impossible climb is proving to be impossible, but we have the Kona up next. There's no climb switch on this, and it's got a pretty relaxed seat angle. Maybe that will give us some more traction out back on that rear wheel. So here she goes. Whoa, maybe go easier gear, a little higher seat. Oh yeah, it does actually get quite a bit of grip. Oh! Stumbling at this point. So all the Hardtails stopped at that little choke point. We should be getting here on the full suspension, but gotta keep your head up, and it's tiring. Uphill's hard. Now we have the Canyon Spectral 125. It's the longest bike on test, so I'm curious to see how that does negotiating some of those tighter corners. Wow, this thing is huge, but it's staying on the ground pretty well. Oh, nearly there. Man, it's loose out here. Woo! We got one. Oh yeah. Wow, okay. So this thing cleaned it. It was a little challenging to time where the crank placements were going across some of those bumpy steps. I'm gasping for air. But this thing had a lot of traction, it was good. Okay, this is the base model Specialized Stump Jumper alloy frame. In the past, we've called this the Traction Master. Let's see if this value bike makes it up the climb. Oh. I don't know if that counts. We're still going. Oh boy, this fork is bouncy even on the uphill. Nope. I'm not taking another cactus to the hand. So we have one last bike to test. Let's see if we can do two on the impossible climb. Okay, so the YT Izzo is the last bike in the impossible climb challenge. It's a lot lighter than all the other bikes because it has a carbon front triangle. Maybe that'll make a difference on this short little section. Whoa, this looks just as ragged as the first attempt. Woo! Skiddy old tires. It's definitely light. Oh. Wow, okay.
All right, everybody, that is another impossible climb done and dusted. I think dusted being the operative word here. This is definitely the most gravelly impossible climb we've ever done. So Matt, my question for you is, what makes or breaks a bike in this sort of situation? You've only made it up here on the canyon, and I look at this bike, it's big, it's long, yet you made it up that slow speed climb. So why?
Well, like we saw in Pemberton when it was cold and wet, it's also slippery here because it's so dry and gravelly.
Desert scree.
Desert scree. So the number one differentiator has to be the tires again. That was really noticeable. The Canyon has 3C rubber, so it's a little bit softer on the outside, whereas the other ones were just really hard and skittish.
And that's definitely worth pointing out in this price range. This bike comes with great 3C tires, so you don't need to upgrade them to get more traction. What about the angles on this thing? This is a big, long bike, but it looks like it hid that pretty well.
Yeah, totally right. It did feel the longest, but I felt the most central on it. Yeah, the weight distribution felt really even, and I think that had to do with the steeper C-tube angle.
Yeah. So speaking of weight distribution, I want to talk about some of those hardtails. None of them made it up here. Why do you think that is? My guess is that they're shorter and they looked a lot skiddier, but
Totally.
I don't know.
Yeah, so a lot of them had shorter chainstays, so the rear half of the bike definitely kept my weight over the back wheel for traction, but it made me loop out a little quicker. And then again, no rear suspension, so you do get bounced around. It's harder to maintain your center of gravity and kind of tell where the traction's getting powered.
All right, everybody, that is it for the Impossible Climb, this time from Tucson, Arizona. We've been out in the sun long enough. My skin feels a little funny, so we're gonna get out of here, but stay tuned for more from Tucson, including the video you guys have all been waiting for, the Huck to Flat.